Hi everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Man vs. Knitting. My name is Charles Clark, and I'd like you to visit manvsknitting.com, detailed below, in the show notes, as well as the Facebook group we have, Man vs. Knitting, also linked below. This episode is going to be shorter than the last one because your time is important, and I believe that. Alrighty, so with all the formalities aside, I'm going to jump right into our first section, which is history. Okay, so for this episode's history, or history, we're going to be introducing you to Drew Emborsky, my friend. Drew has been a good friend for a while now, and I've been following him for even longer. In fact, you have not known it, but you've been looking at several of his books. His books are right here. He's on the men's shelf, and let me get those down now. He didn't even know he was on the shelf until I showed it to him. Although this is funny. Two of the books are so big, and I have everything. Okay, there we go. I'm sure that looks lovely. So. The first book is Crochet It, Love It, Wear It. Do you want to talk about that one?
This book was a follow-up to the Designs for Guys.
Oh.
So I came out with the Designs for Guys. And it's all men's projects. There's 30 of them in there, and it's all crochet, of course. And then when I finished this one, and it did really, really well, as a follow-up, we went with Crochet It, Love It, Wear It.
Oh, Crochet It, Love It,
and it's all designs for ladies, and it's got things like a little black dress and, you know, a little baby doll top and stuff that you don't necessarily associate with crochet, because crochet can be quite bulky. But if you approach it correctly with the right yarn and the right stitch combination, you can actually make really, really nice designs. Fashionable.
And they are.
Thank you.
Very fashionable. Which is one of the reasons why they're on my shelves. And then this was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah. This was my very first book. It's called Men Who Knit and the Dogs Who Love Them. And it was with the amazing designer Annie Modisett. And it's all matching men's sweaters and dog sweaters.
Which is just amazing. I've made the dog sweaters. I've never made the men's sweaters, just FYI.
You should, though.
They knit a lot faster.
They knit faster. Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, so much fun. And so he's been on the shelf now for quite a while, especially for the Crochet Dudes Designs for Guys,
yeah.
Which I think was brilliant.
Thank you.
Just to show you some of the really great patterns that are in there. I had another one that I wanted to show everybody. Where was it? There it is. Yeah, so, I mean, great. Sweater vest and even a tie. So, there's a lot of projects in there. 30, as a matter of fact.
30 of
it's
them.
on the cover.
Well, you know, when I was researching that book, I got together with a group of guys that were all frat guys.
Oh, really?
They were all frat boys, all businessmen that used to be frat boys. And I had my sketches with me. And I said, okay, I really want to understand. I know what I would wear. But I want to know what all you guys would wear, you know, and why. And, you know, we got them liquored up a little bit, and they were like, no, I would not wear that, or absolutely I would wear that. And they gave me the feedback of what
That's a
makes
good focus group.
Yeah, what makes a design really good for a guy.
Yeah.
And then I put together these 30 projects. But there were lots of things that they were like, they didn't want anything that had any type of like swirls. So if the color swirled or the stitch pattern swirled, it was like, no, there's something about that just doesn't feel comfortable. They wanted it more geometric.
Okay.
They didn't mind cables. They didn't mind color work, which I was surprised. I thought they were all going to say, no, I just want solid colors. But they like the cables.
We're not boring like that, are we?
We're not boring.
No.
No, exactly. But I thought they would be. I really did.
Okay.
I thought they were going to go, oh, gosh, no. But no, they wanted style. They wanted color. They wanted designs that were interesting, but there were certain things that they didn't want, and so I eliminated those things and came up with these 30 projects. I'm very proud of this book. I like how it came out.
Well, you should be.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I mean, that's one of the focuses of this channel, is to focus on the designers or the people that contribute to the projects for guys, because there's not enough of them. There really isn't.
Right.
If like I've said this before, I know, and I'm preaching to everyone, but of all the books in this entire library, there's very few of them that are just for guys. That shelf alone, remember.
Right.
So
there's a misunderstanding in the publishing industry when it comes to knit and crochet. There's a misunderstanding that there's no market for these designs, and I've been told that for years, over and over and over. There's no market for this. And
comment if you think that that's not true.
No, it's not true at all. There are there's lots of guys that knit and crochet. There's also lots of people that knit and crochet gifts for guys.
Exactly.
You know, Christmas gifts or whatever. So there is a very large market, but the people within that publishing industry, they haven't taken the time to do the focus groups. They haven't taken the time to talk to the designers that actually do design for men and find out what they really want. And so they, in the past, have put out books of designs that men don't really want, and then say there's no market because it didn't sell very well.
Right. Or they put them in a book with a bunch of, like, you know, kids patterns and ladies patterns and accessories, home accessories, and then they wonder why, you know, enough of the men's patterns don't show up.
Right.
Like in people's stashes on Ravelry or projects on Ravelry or anywhere on any of the other sites. And I think that's because the guys don't know to gravitate to that book like that when they're only, you know, 20% of the patterns in that book.
Exactly, because books can be expensive too, and if there's only one pattern you want, you're going to skip the book because it's too much.
Exactly.
But the other thing that that I've discovered through my career is a lot of the designs that are for men are really designed in such a way to make it interesting for women to knit or crochet. So they might be large and sized for a man, but you can just tell that it was made to be interesting for a woman to knit and crochet, not really for a man to wear. And that's where the disconnect is. That's why it was so important for me when I did designs for guys to do that focus group and really get a good idea of what in general men really want. And they loved what I did.
Yes, and that's why this channel's there, is to showcase those people. So you've heard it here. That's what we want, is more designs for guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not just so guys can knit them, although that's the other purpose of this channel, is to try to get more guys to knit and or crochet if that's your thing, although I'm only going to teach knitting. Of course, I could have him come and
I could
teach
be the
crochet.
guest.
He'll be the guest crochet teacher when we need those things. But yeah, so I'm really pleased that you're on the shelf. Although I have to say, now that I know, and I really didn't pay attention, just he's on the cover of this one, so of course he's a guy designer. But now that I know that this is all women's
ladies stuff,
it's gonna be moved down to over there.
I'm getting downgraded.
You're getting but it's men's pattern.
Right. You're
up
very
there.
organized with your books. I'm impressed.
Oh, thanks.
My books aren't this organized.
I try.
It takes me forever to find anything.
That's when I get inspiration. I know I want to go. I have it in my mind what I want to make. I want to go to that section of my library, and so we can talk about theme management later. But we're here for you now.
Okay. Well, I need help with this. So.
I'll help you with that.
you.
That's easy for me anyway. Okay, so obviously you like crochet way more than knitting.
Well, I have more experience crocheting.
Yeah. So how did you get started crocheting?
Oh, well, I've been crocheting since I was 5. I'm the youngest of a very large family. And I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters, and they all knit or crochet or quilt or something. Even my dad crocheted, my mom
That's a crafty
crocheted.
family.
It's a very crafty family. Well, we're in Michigan. You get snowed in, and it's very dark and cold, so you do stuff like crafts a lot up there. And when I was 5, of course I saw everyone else doing all this, so it was very natural for me to say, I want to learn to crochet. I wanted to learn to knit too, but I think 2 sharp needles in the hands of a 5-year-old probably didn't seem like a good idea to my mom. So she gave me a hook, a big one, so it was less dangerous. It didn't fit in the light socket as well. So, and she taught me to crochet, and my siblings helped me develop, as I went. I had questions, of course. And, I've been crocheting all my life. And I started designing my own stuff in high school. So the whole going off the pattern and kind of just imagining what it could be and coming up with it all kind of started in high school.
And that's what I think I know that started with me. After I did that pattern book, that book of all the different stitch patterns, then I wanted to put it together. But if I saw a pattern that I liked, it was kind of boring to me. And if I wanted to jazz it up, I could replace this pattern with that. Right. So, yeah, I think that's natural in everybody's growth. Right. That as you become a little more experienced, you start venturing out.
Oh, absolutely. When you have the skill set, you're excited, and you want to see how far you can go with it.
Yeah, and that's good. So what do you think keeps people or guys from going down the path of picking up a set of needles or a hook to make something?
What keeps them from it?
Yeah.
Well, I think that a lot of guys that I've talked to didn't realize that they had the ability to do it also. They thought for some reason that it was, something that only girls could do. Boys do this and girls do that. And they didn't realize that they actually had the ability, which seems silly, but when you're raised thinking that way,
right?
It's very natural, right? But what guys discover as they start to knit and crochet is that they do have the skill set, and it is actually a lot of fun. There's a lot of math, and there's a lot of following patterns. There's a lot of things you can do with it. Your imagination gets ignited, and it's a very natural thing for men to do. What's keeping them from doing it, I think, is just exposure. That's what's brilliant about this channel, is exposing men to the fun and the joy and the excitement of learning how to knit and crochet. I think it's really important just to get the exposure. Because then once that's ignited, there's no stopping anybody. I mean, once you get hooked, no, but seriously, once you get hooked on something on knitting, like knitting or crochet, it's really hard to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that happened to me. I mean, I have other interests, but really knitting, he'll tell you, I don't. Knitting is it, because I can be so productive. I can make stuff. People love it when I gift them with that. I don't really sell a lot of my stuff.
I don't either.
Just because, I don't know, there's something about, I'm not saying I'm object to it. It's no. It just never works out that way.
It's fun to give these things as gifts. It really is fun. And I discovered a long time ago, I was crocheting for charity, where each person would send somebody a 12-inch square. And then they would assemble it into an Afghan and then send it to somebody who was in need. It's a real nice group. And I had been crocheting for them. It was right after my mom died. And I picked up crocheting hot and heavy to try to go through that grieving process. She taught me to crochet. So it was like having her with me again. It was a really good way to mourn.
Yeah, that's very nice.
And of course, I wasn't in any mindset to crochet anything much. It needed to be simple and easy. So when I got hooked up with this charity group, all I had to do was see 12-inch squares. And so I was just producing them and sending them. And it really felt good to help others, right? Well, one day I had a mishap in the kitchen. And I broke my foot with a jar of garlic. I dropped it on my foot and broke my foot.
Oh my God.
I know, it was a big jar. I don't use jarred garlic anymore. Saw some special on Netflix. It's like, So anyway, I chopped my own garlic now. Plus I broke my foot, so I'm a little traumatized. But about a week later, I got a box in the mail. And it was from that charity group. And it was an Afghan that they had assembled for me because I had broken my foot. And it was in that moment when I pulled that out, I realized you can feel the love that people put in the knit and crochet stuff. You feel it. And I'd never felt it before. I'd always heard that that's what happened. But when I pulled it out, and all those people had done all that to help make me feel better, I just cherished it. And I realized in that moment that the power of knitting and crochet is much more than we realize. So now when I make a gift for somebody, I know when they receive it, it's beyond just something I could have bought them. You know, it's beyond that, because with every stitch, with every moment that I put into it, I'm thinking about that person. I'm thinking they're going to love it. I'm thinking I'm doing this because I love them. And they feel it when they open it. I know they do because I experienced it. So it's very, I want to put all my time into giving people gifts. I don't want to sell this stuff. Sell it if you want. I like to give it away.
Yeah, I like giving it as well. That's a really good answer. Yeah, it's so important to take the things that we make and remember who the recipient is going to be. Because if they have prayer shawls, it's a huge thing. And while we're not where we're going to be teaching shawls during knitting clinic, eventually we can move that direction. But anytime you're going to be crafting, don't do it from an angry place. Your gauge is going to be way off.
Right, yeah.
You're going to be knitting or crocheting a lot tighter than normal. But if it automatically relaxes you as you get into the rhythm of it, whether you're knitting or crocheting. Studies have shown. So,
and that's another point that goes along with that is when you knit or in crochet, you should always use the knitting needles that you love, and always use yarn that you love. Always. I have a saying, I have it on my studio wall. It says, there is no happy ending to an unhappy journey. You're not going to love the project if you hated the journey getting there. So love the yarn and love the needles. You know, buy the color you love and the fiber you love. Don't think you have to just use somebody's scraps because they offered it to you. You know, if you don't love it, go get yarn you love.
That's why I like the yarn that I chose for the first project with Knitting Clinic. I've knit projects with that yarn. That's a go-to yarn for me. So I wanted it to be a go-to yarn for them.
Right.
So to me, yeah, it's very important to remember that, and that's a good lesson that we probably need to be repeating on this channel.
Absolutely.
As we go forward, because I don't want to ever give them something that I don't even like.
Right, exactly.
So if I'm not going to knit with it, why am I asking you to?
Right.
No, not at all. So we've talked about what you've done. We've talked about how you got started. Do you have anything that you've brought today to talk about, to share with everybody? What are those?
Oh, these are some of my other books that I have published.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, I have lots. I have 9 books published.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I have lots of stuff. This is the thing. The trend of the industry has changed over the last few years. The publishing industry kind of got disrupted, which is very common in all the different industries, because with new technology, the way things are being approached has changed, and
hence YouTube,
Ravelry, all these other things. You know, publishing companies have been whittled down to like skeleton crews. They used to be massive productions, right? And people just want to go online and find a pattern. You know, that's an attitude and a lifestyle now. So a lot of my newer designs are on my website, thecrochetdude.com.
Ding, ding, ding. It's going to be linked below.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
But that's where I have a lot of my latest patterns, because I can go directly to the people now. I can go directly to the people that want my patterns. That was not possible before. When I was putting out these books before, there was no avenue. There's no way to get a PDF to people. And now it's all set up so you can just download it from my website or from Ravelry or
That's true.
other people's websites. It's great. But before that all happened, I put out this series of little books, we call them. And I did one that's for pets. It's called Sweet Pet Comforts. And it's all for dogs and cats, because we love our dogs and cats. My favorite one is this. There's a dog bed that looks like Ugg boots. That's one of my favorites.
Ugg boot dog
bed. I wanted to call this one.
I don't have that.
You don't have that? You need to get that. This one's called All Washed Up. And I wanted to call this Real Men Do Dishes. And that's the other thing when you go... Actually, I was able to name one of the patterns.
Real Men Do Dishes.
I just thought that was clever. But anyway, it's all dishcloths, which are a really good starting point if you're just learning to crochet.
Men do dishes in my house.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to do them. That's why I have dogs. I have Labradors. I just put the plates down. Done. put them away. And then must-have handbags. This is all purses. Purses are really fun to design. And people have
They're fun to make, too.
They've asked me, why do you like to design purses? Because I don't carry a purse. I'll admit it, I don't. It's because there's something about taking crochet or knit and creating the structure of the purse. It's very, like, architectural. So I found that very, very challenging and very stimulating.
I will say one thing about purse making is I don't mind making the body of the purse, but the strap generally is like knitting a scarf because you're just going on forever. But good thing is the strap for a purse is much shorter than a scarf. So.
Well, that's true. And here's a good tip you can use in the future. Go to Goodwill and find a purse where you like the handle and cut it off and sew it onto your knit purse.
Ah.
You can actually find a lot of really good things at a resale shop because the purses themselves are all worn out. But the handles still look really good.
That's true.
So you can cut them off and sew them on.
That's a very good tip.
Thank you.
That's a very good
Not
tip.
just a hat rack. And then this one, this is my all-time best-selling book. It's called In All Caps. And it's a book of hats that are good for men and women. But this one you can still get at Hobby Lobby. I just saw it the other day.
Yeah, because some of these designs, like that design is very unisex. That design is very unisex. That design is very unisex. So 3 out of the 4 on the back page
you could
be for a guy or a girl.
Absolutely.
So, and you know
if you
that's
have
big with me.
If you have a man bun, you can wear that.
We don't, nothing against them.
No, I'm just saying it would work with that.
I keep my hair so short, I never have one.
I don't have any left. So anyway, these books are all available. If you go to my website, they're available for digital download.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Again, it's changed. You won't be getting a book. You'll be getting a digital download. But yeah, I need to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I won't get the washcloth one. Well, I will probably have to get it because it'll have to go up on the shelf. But
for the collection.
Yes.
But as far as my latest designs, all my new designs are just straight through my website now.
Okay.
Which is fun because when they come out, they go directly out there and available. And before, when you published a book, I mean, it took months and months before it became available.
That's true. Yeah.
And then maybe it was at a store near you or Amazon, but...
Yeah. No, but I do appreciate the books, obviously. And I do use my books. And as we talked last time in website, Ravelry Review, you can add your books to your library and then search within the patterns in your library. So
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and you can't do that with, you can do that with patterns that you've purchased through Ravelry, but if you have your own collection of them, it's hard to upload them. You can't upload them to your, well, you know what? I don't know if you can or not.
It's worth a try.
We'll have to find that out. But
Stay tuned.
That is the good thing about books because they are a huge collection, and I utilize my books all the time. So that's great. So crochetdude.com. It'll be linked below, like I said. But that's a great place for you to get inspiration. You have a lot of other stuff on there too. So it's very, maybe one day during website we'll go review that.
Oh, that'd be fun.
But
appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming onto the channel. Thank you for chatting with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, because history, remember, is about his story, and everyone that comes and designs for guys, we are going to focus them here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
I'm just glad to be here.
All right, so now.